What is going on, guys? Politics Gaming here, and today we are going to be looking at a best case scenario for the President of the United States in a 2020 election. This is not an official prediction, but this is basically looking at what would happen if the President of the United States benefits off of a booming economy, a lowering unemployment rate, etc. You guys know what I'm talking about. Basically, this is just looking at what if everything goes well, the Democrats cannot put up a strong candidate for the presidency of the United States, and what if the economy is just overall just amazing. So today we're going to be looking at what the electoral map would be looking like. I already have it a little set up. We're going to have a lot of freebie states that could be up for grabs in an election such as this. There are a lot of solid blue states as of right now that are colored in gray as battlegrounds or toss-ups. There are 260 electoral votes up for grabs in this election. Now, what I'm looking at is, again, a best case scenario for the president. This would probably be close to a landslide for the President of the United States because of the booming economy, because of power that basically he has and political clout that he has built up to this point. So I'm going to go ahead and get in a couple of states that I do believe would be going for the Democrats. The Democrats, Illinois is a state with that most of the electoral votes are basically coming from Chicago. Chicago controls Illinois. You can talk about that as saying, hey, like, this is the reason why we like the Electoral College, because it doesn't allow cities to dictate that. About 9 million out of the 12 million people in Illinois are in the Illinois metropolitan statistical area, and that is a huge factor in the way Illinois sways. However, there is no way possible that I believe Illinois can ever go toward the Republican Party, especially with Donald Trump, no matter how good the economy is doing. So that will be going toward the Democrats in any case, even in a best case scenario. And also another case, New York City. New York City has a massive amount of, again, very similar to Illinois. They have 9 electoral votes more than Illinois. The same thing would be happening in New York, because just the amount of people, the amount of liberals that live in New York City control the state. And there's, again, no way that I believe that New York or Illinois would be going into the Republican column. Now, for the Republican Party, states such as Iowa, Indiana, Ohio, North Carolina, and Arizona definitely would be going toward the president in a good case scenario, best case scenario, because of the amount of conservatives that are in these states, the amount of clout that he already has there, because he's fixing the economy, because he's doing all this stuff. In states such as Virginia, this is going to be the first state that I'm going to go ahead and give over to the Trump column, because Donald Trump is Virginia voted consistently for the Republican Party for a very long time, and it only switched over toward the Democratic Party whenever Obama got elected. However, that vote share has been shrinking over the past couple of election cycles. I think it actually kind of did grow a little bit in the 2016 election, or actually, I believe it shrank. I don't know, actually. But in a best case scenario, the state of Virginia, not enough people would be turning out to vote for the Democratic candidate, especially if this is a weak Democratic candidate. That is the reason why Virginia would be flipping over. The Rust Belt would definitely be going over to Donald Trump in a booming economy. Manufacturing jobs are returning to the United States. We are seeing the return of just all these automobile industries with the bailouts back in 2008 and 2009, and as well as 2010. We would be seeing a return to the Rust Belt, to the Midwest, that would send Donald Trump back to the White House, in 2021. So already we have Donald Trump over the victory margin, 287 electoral votes to the Democratic 160. States such as New Hampshire, they would be going over to Donald Trump. I also already have Maine colored in because except for the at-large district, the second district of Maine would be going over to Donald Trump because, again, they are traditionally more conservative, and they voted for him in 2016. That was the first time that they had actually done that in a very long time. So that would be another thing. At large, I do believe that they would be going over to Donald Trump. That's another 2 electoral votes that would be going to the president. Minnesota, same thing as with the Rust Belt. You can make an argument saying, well, the Somali population in Minneapolis and St. Paul do have an actual grip on the Democratic stronghold that is Minnesota. However, Minnesota in 2016 was the closest that we had ever seen it in a very long time. Ever since President Nixon was in power, was the last time Minnesota voted for a Republican. And I think that would change under a strong Democratic or a strong Republican presidency, is that Minnesota would flip. Minnesota would go along with the rest of the Rust Belt. Illinois would basically be surrounded by all this red. And even Illinois, they would be extremely light. I think they would be very light blue in around that area right there. 303 electoral votes to 160. Florida, I don't even have to say anything. Florida definitely would be going over to the president. I do believe with Joe Biden, Elizabeth Warren, and even Kamala Harris, or even Beto O'Rourke, Florida would not be flipping to the Republican or to the Democratic Party. I think Florida is a little too conservative, and I think that they would actually be more along the lines of, I think Florida is, despite the high Hispanic population, I do believe that Florida would be faithful to the president and would be sending him back to the White House. Now we go over to some of the iffy states. This comes to Colorado, New Mexico, Nevada, Oregon, and Washington. I do believe that in Colorado, there could be a chance that the president could win it. However, I think between these 2 states, I think New Mexico would actually be the only one to actually stand out against the president, while Colorado could actually flip toward the president. The last time they actually voted for him was actually for George W. Bush in 2004. Now coming over to Nevada, is more of a difficult kind of a state to actually look at because of their high Hispanic population. Las Vegas basically has a massive amount of power over the state's electoral votes. Even though they have 6 electoral votes, they have the same amount of electoral votes as Utah and Kansas. But I do believe that out of all of that, I think the Democrats could still hold on to Nevada by a very slim margin out of all of the states. Oregon, very high conservative population in the outer areas. However, Washington and Oregon, I don't think, even in a best case scenario, that the president could pull it off. I think it would be very, very close. I think Washington would actually be way closer than Oregon. Oregon, we have a lot of intimidation coming on, a lot of stuff going on in these states. So I think actually both of them would be a very, very slim margin coming for the Democrats. I think a lot of the intimidation that's been going on in there in Portland and Seattle, that would work on a lot of voters. Maybe there could be a chance where one of these states actually flips in the Republican favor. In any case, I think that actually could be Oregon over Washington. But I think this could actually be the best case scenario. So Oregon would be flipping for the president. We have a lot of state flippings. Virginia, Minnesota, Colorado, Maine, New Hampshire. A lot of these states could actually flip toward the president in a best case scenario. If you guys want to see more of this, go ahead and leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new. I'm definitely going to be getting into a lot of these election predictions. So if you guys want to see more, go ahead and leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and I will see you guys in the next one.